Okay, in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to create a Fedora hat using an 8-sided cylinder. So I'm going to start with the default Blender layout and then delete away the default cube. Then press Shift A and create a cylinder. The next step is very important. Make sure your cylinder has only 8 sides. So we go over to the Add Cylinder properties here and then change it to 8. And also the cap fill type, we're going to change it to triangle fan because we're going to try out some of the knife tools to cut the top part here. So now we want to select the cylinder, press the tab key to go into edit mode, or you can go to edit mode here. And the next thing you want to do is to press G followed by the Z key and 1. And then press left mouse click to finish the operation. So what we have done is to select all the vertices and move it one Blender unit. This is in order to position the cylinder so that it lines up on the grid floor. And then the next thing we want to do is to delete away the bottom cap of this cylinder. So that is very straightforward. Just select the bottom vertex and then press the X key and delete away the vertex. And this will also delete away the bottom faces. So the next thing we want to do is to select the edge loop or the vertex loop around here and scale it up. So hold down to your Alt key and hover your cursor over the edge here and left mouse click. Okay, the edge loop right should be selected. In edit mode, if you press 1, you're in vertex selection mode. If you press 2, you're in edge selection mode, and 3, face selection mode. So just take note of that. Okay, I'm going to press 2 to go to edge selection mode, then holding down the Alt key and left mouse click. So now the bottom open edge is selected. We just need to press S to go into scaling mode, and then move our cursor to the right until we have this cone-shaped object. All right. The next thing we want to do is to extrude the selected edges. All right, so make sure that the edges are still selected. And then we are going to extrude the normals, extrude by the normal orientation to form the hat rim. You can come over to the tools panels here and choose the extrude along the normals. So if yours is extrude region, which is this icon here, just make sure you click and hold your left mouse button and choose the extrude along normals option. You should see this manipulator here, a yellow ball with a yellow line. Just grab the yellow ball, left mouse click and hold, and pull it out. You should have your hat rim created. All right, the next thing we want to do is to insert one edge loop that runs across the center of these edges. I'm going to press W to go back to my box selection. Then press this combination Control R to go into Insert Edge Loop mode. Hover your cursor over the selected edge, and then if you want to insert more edge loops, you can roll your middle mouse up or down, but we're just going to need one edge loop. So you can see the yellow line. That is just a preview of where the edge loop is going to be located. Just left mouse click once to insert the edge loop. And now you're in edge loop slide mode. Now we want to place it in the center. So you just have to right mouse click once to place it there. Right mouse click, and there you go. Next, we want to insert a couple of edge loops along this side here. So press Ctrl R again to go to Insert Edge Loop mode, and then push the middle mouse roller button up once. And then left mouse click to go to Insert or Slide Edge mode. And then right mouse click to finish inserting or cutting the edge loop. All right, so make sure that the orientation, your view orientation is the same as mine. Make sure your red line axis is going this way, and then the green line axis is going the other way. And now we're going to insert an edge loop on top of these triangular faces. Now we can't use the Control R edge loop to insert, because for that to work, we have to have four-sided faces adjacent each other. So we're going to use another tool, which is the knife tool. So I'm going to press K. So now I'm going to switch over. I'm going to right mouse click to get out of the insert edge loop tool, then press K to go into the knife tool. So now you can see the cursor have changed into a knife symbol. So if I were to just click on it, click on these faces here, and then you can see that I can create random cuts. So that is not what I want. So I'm going to right mouse click and press escape. Press K again to bring back the knife tool. What I'm going to do is to hold down the shift key so that the knife will start off from the midpoint of the edge. So left mouse click once, then move on to the next edge, left mouse click, and so on until we reach, just before we reach the final point here. You notice that when I hold down to shift, it still want to cut in the midpoint of the edges here. So I'm going to release my shift key, move my knife cutting, and then cut into the first cut vertex. And then to finish it up, just press enter. And when you're done, you have created the base shape for a hat, which you can modify into all sorts of hats. So the next thing I want to do is I want to make sure that all my faces are four-sided. So I'm going to go to edge selection mode. Then I'm going to pick these four edges, and then I'm going to delete them. So rather than pressing the delete key, we're going to press X and then choose the dissolve edges option. So we have created four-sided faces, and when we subdivide this, it will deliver a much better result. Okay, next we want to apply a subdivision onto this hat. So we go into the modifier and add a subdivision surface. So in the modifier settings, we're going to give about 3 subdivisions in the viewport, and we're going to click on this button on cage, all right, so that the wires or the wireframe is sitting on top of the subdivided model. Next, we want to smooth out so that we don't have this segmented look on the surface. So select all the faces. You can press 4 to go to, press 3 to go to face selection mode, then press A to select all the faces, then right mouse click and choose shade smooth. So now all the faces are shaded smooth. Now press Alt A again, Alt A, okay, to deselect. And now we can start to edit this shape to look like a fedora hat. So the first thing I want to do is to go to vertex selection mode. So I'm going to press 1, and then I'm going to select these vertices. So hold down the shift to add on to additional vertices. All right. And then press G followed by Z to pull down the center parting here. All right. So at this stage, I also want to turn on my symmetry editing. And then I'm going to grab this vertex, and at the same time I'm going to turn on my move tool, and then I'm just going to push this back in the y-axis and then push it in the x-axis so that I can have the finger grabs depression for a fedora hat. Then for this vertex, I'm going to push it out forward a little bit. Now you'll notice that although I have selected the vertex, right, the manipulator is not at the center. That is because we are essentially editing the base level of the model. We can see the base level of the model by disabling this on cage button, and then you can see the actual position of the vertex. But when we subdivide our model, this is where it ends up. Okay, so I'm going to tweak this a bit further. I'm going to push this back a little bit, and then maybe perhaps move this particular vertex to bring it down. Now, if you find it very hard to tweak by revolving around, you might want to go to turn on View, Area, and turn on Toggle Quad View. The shortcut key is Control-Alt-Q, all right, so that you can see all the options, or rather see the different views and then edit it accordingly. Right, for example, I want the hat to be wider a little bit, so I can use the different views and then perhaps maybe move the hat outwards a little bit, make it a little bit oval in shape. Okay, so if you don't need the manipulator, I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to go to select, and I'm just going to just press G to grab and move. Just move the cursor. So that might be a bit faster when you are doing in all these three different views. Okay, and then perhaps select all these vertices and then press SZ0 to flatten them in the same plane. All right, you have noticed that the hat, right, the transition to the rim here is very rounded. I want to add another supporting edge loop, right, to tighten it up. Or I can also bevel. So I'm going to go to press 2 to go to edge selection mode. Then press Alt, left mouse click to select this loop, and press Control B to add a edge loop. So as I pull out, you can see two edges forming. Now, if you roll your middle mouse up, you can control the number of edges that you want to add. So I just want to add about just another edge. Okay, I do not want the area here to be too tight. So I think this is good enough for me. Right, so now I have created the hat hole. Now I want to change back to my perspective view. So click on view area and then click on toggle quad view. So what I need to do right now is to select the rim and then adjust it until I have the nice folds of the Fedora hat. So press 1 and then select these three vertices holding down the shift. You can also select the edge if you want, but I'm going to select these vertices and I'm going to press the command G followed by Z and then pull it out slightly like so. Then I'm going to select these two vertices and then press G followed by Z and then push it down so that I have the typical Fedora hat shape. Okay, so if you want to curl it even more, again, I'm going to turn on my toggle quad view, Control Alt Q, and then continue to tweak it from the 4 different views until I'm happy with it. Okay, I like this. So right now I'm just going to just round this off a little bit more, maybe the inner rim, push it in slightly, and Control, okay, what's the shortcut key? I'm going to use the shortcut key instead. Control Alt Q, Control Alt Q to go back to the perspective view. And the next stage I want to do is to give it some thickness. Now, before I do that, I want to create a separate ribbon. So press number 3 to go to face selection mode. Press Alt and left mouse click to select the faces that form the ribbon. Then I'm going to press Shift D to duplicate. And when I press Shift D, the duplicate just start to move with my cursor. And then I'm just going to right mouse click and the duplicate is just going to fall back to the original location. Next, I'm just going to press S followed by Shift Z so that I scale it non-uniformly outwards. Okay. All right, so I want to make sure, I want to create the ribbon as a separate item. So while it's still being selected, I'm going to press P. P as into peel and orange. So to P to separate it. So press P and then say I'm going to separate this ribbon. Then I'm going to press Tab to go to object mode. All right, so now we have two different objects, the ribbon and the hat itself. And the hat is very thin. So we want to give it some thickness. So go over to the modifier and then add a thickness by applying a solidify. You can adjust the thickness by clicking on the thickness parameter, click on it and drag left and right to adjust the value. So now you can see our hat has some thickness to it. Then our ribbon, we're going to apply a thickness as well. So go to solidify and now it has a thickness to it. Okay. So I'm not really that happy with the thickness that is being applied to this ribbon. So I'm going to delete away the solidify and then I'm going to go to edit mode. I'm going to select all the faces by pressing A. And then I'm just going to extrude out another extra face instead. So I'm going to use the extrude by along normals again, then grab the handle and then just push it out slightly. Okay, then I'm going to go to the base object level by disabling this button here, so we can see what the base object looks like. So you can see here, right, I need a little bit more definition. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to edge mode, right, and then it seems that I might have extruded more than once here. Let me undo that. Okay, so yes, so this is what was extruded out. Let me undo a couple of more times. Okay, let me go back to base level here, and then let's see. Okay, so that's back to where we were at. So there seems to be some issue just now when I extruded this out. So let's select all these face, and then we try extruding it out again using the normal extrude. So when I extrude, previously I was extruding it negatively, so that's not what I want. I want to extrude it maybe okay, outwards like that. That's fine. Okay, earlier on I saw another extra edge there, so that was, yeah, so yeah, what happened was I grabbed this and moved it twice. That's why you see another extra segment that was extruded out. So let me just undo that. Okay, this is what I want. So let me just go back to the selection, and now press 2 to go to edge selection mode. Alt left mouse click to select this loop, then Shift Alt to select this loop, Shift Alt to select this loop, Shift Alt to select the internal loop. I'm going to press Alt Z to go to X-ray mode so that I can select the object behind. So Alt Shift and select this loop. So you notice that these loops are now selected. I'm going to apply a bevel, Control B, and then just add an extra bevel like so. Adjust and apply the bevel. Now I can get out of X-ray mode, Alt Z, and now you can see the ribbon is much more defined. It's a little bit thicker than usual, but I think this is okay for this demonstration. All right, so now I can go back to my object mode, and now we have two distinct objects. And if you want, you can continue to edit this hat until it fits the ribbon here. But the ribbon here, I think, is a little bit too big. Let me just scale this down. Let me go to the top view. Press the tilde key, then go to the top view, and then press the tab key. And I'm going to use a soft selection tool to help me. I'm going to press O to turn on soft selection. So I'm going to grab these vertices, and I'm going to press G to start to move. And then you can see that I can move the vertices gradually, soft selection mode, so that I can put it tight within the hat like so. Okay. So I think this section here, I need to push it in some more. So I'm going to go to edit mode, grab these vertices, then just G followed by Y, just push it back in like that. And because my mirror, or rather my symmetry is on. Okay, so then here's the hat. All right, so what if you were to like model, let's say, a object, right, that need to be symmetrized? So in any case, right, if your hat, right, if you're modeling the hat like using only half of the vertices, you can apply a modifier called mirror, right? So I'm going to demonstrate how that works. So I'm going to get rid of half of this hat by selecting half of the vertices. I'm going to go to X-ray view so I can select the back vertices. I'm going to select all these vertices, press X and delete away the vertices. So right now you can see that I don't have any vertices in the center. So next I'm going to apply a mirror modifier. So I'm going to mirror along the x-axis. And you can see it looks a bit weird because of the sequence of the modifier. You can actually change it by grabbing these dotted lines and push it up and release. And also I'm going to turn on clipping. I'm going to press A to select all the vertices on one side, and press G followed by X. And then just make sure that the center is touching one another. Okay, I will need to fix this area here. So I'm going to temporarily get rid of the subdivision modifier. Okay, and then I will have to go and perhaps apply a face, cover a face around these edges here. So I'm going to change this back to uh, press Alt Z rather, to change it back to shaded mode. I'm going to go to edge mode, select these two edges and press F to patch it up first. Press F to patch this up first. So we're going to get rid of these edges later on. So you can see we can use mirror right from the start by modeling only half the hat. Okay, but I'm just going to show you so that I can demonstrate how to apply a modifier. Okay, so now I'm going to apply the subdivision surface, and we still get back the original hat. Okay, for the subdivision surface, I'm going to put the sequence, the subdivision before the mirror. Or actually, I should put it after the mirror. Let's try this. After the mirror, yes. And then increase the levels of subdivision to 3. And you can see that we still get back the original hat, except perhaps we have another extra edge here. Okay. So if you want to apply the modifier for the mirror, okay, I'm going to click on this button so that the wires land on the surface. So if you want to apply a modifier, it's a little bit different than the older versions of Blender, like between 2.8 and the early versions of 2.9s. It doesn't have this feature. All right. So the application of the modifier is slightly different. So that's what I'm trying to show here. So I'm going to press Tab to go to object mode. And then to apply, you have to click on this drop down and then click on apply. Okay, that's how you do it. The older versions of Blender, right, you can actually see the apply next to the buttons here. All right, so for version 9, for version 2.93 onwards, right, you have to apply by clicking on this drop down and then click on apply here. All right. Okay, so now that we have applied the modifier, the hat is now single again, and I'm just going to tweak by getting rid of this edge here. So press 2, shift select these edges, press X, and then dissolve the edges. You don't want to delete them, because if you delete them, there'll be a big hole here. And then essentially our hat is complete. Okay, but if you want to apply the subdivision at the current subdivision, you will end up with a model with a lot of faces, because at the base level, this is basically the number of faces that you see here. But if I were to apply the subdivision modifier, and then you can see this is what the number of faces is going to end up looking like. And if you apply the solidify, it's also going to double the faces, because you're going to create this thickness. So let me just apply this. Let's go to object mode and then apply. And then now you can see the thickness is fully applied. Same for the ribbon as well. If I hit apply, okay, now the ribbon is also very high resolution. Generally speaking, right, I mean, I'll try to avoid applying the subdivision modifier, because you will end up with a very, very heavy model. Okay, that will be quite hard to manipulate. So let me just undo. Okay, and then I'm just going to apply a, what do you call that? Apply some materials. All right, so for this hat, you want to see the results of the material, you have to press Z, then go to material preview. So currently there's no material, so everything looks white like that. Then we're going to go to our materials properties here. So select the main hat itself and then click on new. And then for the base color, let's give it a red color. And then for the ribbon itself, just click on new, and then maybe I want to give it a darker color. All right. And then when you deselect it, and then I'm going to select this ribbon, I can combine both of them together. I can select this part, shift select the hat, and then I can press Ctrl J to join them together. All right. And now it's connected together. All right. So it's now treated as a single object. So another way would be to parent it. I'm going to undo that. Select the ribbon, then shift select the object, and then press Ctrl P to parent it to the object, so that your hat is now the parent of the ribbon. Okay. All right, so I hope this tutorial is useful, and then will help you learn some fundamentals and basics of Blender 3.0.